We are watching the internet shrink. I'll be honest with you guys. Hello, welcome back. This video again is unscripted. I have been reading and watching things on the internet and I feel so frustrated, and I didn't really feel up to scripting and kind of getting the video ready as I usually do. So I'm just sitting down again to ramble about my thoughts as I did in the previous video. This video is no doubt going to contain some sensitive topics, as I want to talk about kind of the weight culture happening online at the moment. So of course, if those type of topics are distressing for you, then please click off, because you know it's not worth it. But I want to talk about the problem we're having right now and how concerning I think it is, what I think it means for us going forward, especially younger people going forward, and just kind of my thoughts on it, as it's so blaringly obvious the problem that we have right now. If you are new here, please be sure to click that subscribe button down below. I'm trying to grow this corner of the internet and I would love for you to join on the journey, so let's get into the video. I'm sure you've all seen the patterns. I feel like every few years we are cycling through kind of what is fashionable, whether it be going back, probably is close to 10 years ago now, which is really frightening to say, but kind of the Kim Kardashian era where you wanted big bums and tiny waists. And you know, we all saw that champagne photo shoot that went big with Kim K. In the 90s there was the very like cigarette girl aesthetic, I believe it was kind of coined, or where people were very thin.
The heroin chic aesthetic is back. This was a sickness that was romanticized and glamorized and was called consumptive chic, because it would be a sickness that would consume your entire body. And it was at the time, for the upper class, a huge privilege to have this sickness, because it meant that you were dying of beauty. Women would be glamorized and romanticized of being sick because it was the beauty standard of the time. Going back to the 90s and how Kate Moss and photographer Sorrenti photographing her being skinny and looking very sick, etc. It's inspired by this movement. And so this is just reminding us of how we haven't really moved past the Victorian era. We're kind of going back, and it's kind of scary. But
we see so many different looks cycle every so often, and we are currently going into what some people have coined as the Ozempic era. Of course, I am no medical professional, so I don't want to try and explain everything to do with it, but I'm sure you know what Ozempic is. People are using it as weight loss management. However, it wasn't primarily used for that much I do know. And now a lot of people are using Ozempic or similar GLP-1s, I believe they're called, for weight loss. This has caused an influx of celebrities that we are seeing that are shrinking, and they are a lot smaller than what they used to be. Boasted about being curvy, such as Meghan Trainor as a great example, where she'd sing about all about their base. She was kind of known for being this curvy plus size girl, or just at least curvy, and now she is a lot smaller. Whether or not we're to say that weight loss is good or bad, I don't really want to talk about that, because you know, obviously there's negatives to being overweight, but I think on the flip side there are obviously negatives to being underweight, and that's kind of what I want to go into. A big reason, obviously, I think this whole conversation is getting thrown up at the moment is everything surrounding Ariana Grande. I have done a couple posts on her now, and I think it's a really difficult situation, as with EDs, we shouldn't necessarily, if you draw attention to the problem, it can make the problem worse. I also think the message that is getting portrayed for younger audiences is something that I am extremely concerned about. We are seeing all these celebrities, including Ariana Grande, saying that they're healthy and that there's nothing wrong and they're the healthiest they've ever been. And bottom line, you shouldn't be able to see every bone in your body visible. I think that is glaringly obvious, and it's not to say that you can't have these issues and them always be self-inflicted. Realistically, people can have chronic illnesses, you know, they can be experiencing grief. I think we saw that with Kelly Osbourne. Just because someone's losing weight doesn't, or gaining weight even, it doesn't mean that it is just an ED. So the whole point of self-diagnosing people online, it really isn't the best idea. What I don't agree with is them then labelling this as healthy, because I think there's that premonition that younger audiences are going to get that they are healthiest when they are smallest, and that is a breeding ground for EDs. But I feel like everywhere I am now seeing this skinny culture, and I've had enough of it. I feel like you scroll on Instagram, you're seeing ads to do with weight loss. I'm watching my YouTube video, the ads are for weight loss. Everywhere you go, there is some sort of weight loss management, or you are seeing very skinny people promoted as the ideal. And it's not to say that if someone's skinny is unattractive, because that is not the point. However, we are promoting eating disorders the way it's going, and I think that is very concerning. We were all once young, impressionable teenagers. I'm 24, so that's how far off I am of being a teenager. I really badly struggled with EDs when I was younger, and it took me a long time to be able to find a really comfortable relationship with food. And then I got chronic illnesses on top, and it complicated things. However, I thrived looking for things that would validate how I felt and would fuel what I was thinking. And EDs are very complex, and you don't need things to add fuel into it. And when you're constantly surrounded by weight loss and people telling you need to be skinny, you need to be like, you need to look a certain way, you need to, all those things, it would have made me so triggered. And I think it would have worsened any of the problems that I did have, even though they weren't great themselves. I think there's no doubt that this could influence young people to go down that path of EDs, because everywhere they see they need to be thin to fit in. And ultimately, not everyone is built to be really skinny. You know, we all carry fat differently. I am kind of hourglass / pear shape. I carry my weight predominantly on my bottom half, and even when, you know, I was in the depths of my ED, I still had that shape. I still struggled to lose weight more on my bottom half than I did on my top. That's always been how it was for me, and I know other people who are on the flip side of that, and you can't necessarily change your body composition. I know people that eat so much more than me and they're tiny, and I know some people that probably their metabolism is a lot slower and they have to be careful what they eat. No one is a one size fits all body, including metabolism, including weight distribution, including, you know, all these different things. I am just so frustrated as someone who has come out the other end of an ED. I am seeing so much rubbish online about shrinking to fit this narrative. You go on the comment sections of some of these really skinny, you know, artists, celebrities. As a prime example, there was the Ariana Grande tour photos that I saw. Ariana herself has got the comments filtered, so to be fair, it's not on her posts, but underneath people who have shared photos of her tour, I've seen so many comments about people saying that they need to skip their meals because basically how skinny Ariana is and they want to look like that, or just idolising this lifestyle of weight loss and seeing her bones, and how that is their inspiration and fuel for not eating. What really then annoys me on top is Ariana and her team saying she's extremely healthy and normalising that behaviour. I think arguably silence would have been better than what they've said. I don't know how we go forward in approaching things like this, because I've seen a lot of people saying we need to not comment on Ariana Grande as an example, because it'll fuel whatever, and it doesn't need pointing out, you know, people around us should be stepping in and we have no right to kind of mention anything. I do think there's an argument of, by us not saying anything, we're allowing it to be normal. And when someone is such an idol and a lot of people look up to her, then we need to be setting some sort of precedent of, like, you know, this isn't healthy. Ariana does, of course, deserve her own privacy, but at the end of the day, this will be having an impact on her audience. I'm just so worried about the future generation. And like I mentioned at the start, you know, we are constantly cycling through different like eras of how we should look. And again, like we've had the curvy look, plus size, you know, lean, really muscular. Like we see so many different aesthetics kind of change throughout time. So it's not exactly a normal thing, but I am so worried. The look that we are promoting at the moment is undoubtedly so unhealthy, and there's undoubtedly going to be so many people affected by it. I am sick of having weight loss shoved down my throat. As someone who has recovered from an ED, I hate that everywhere I look it's about weight loss management. I don't want adverts about weight loss management, because at the end of the day, I'm finally very happy with my body. And I know a lot of people who have EDs. I know people who are in recovery from EDs, on the flip side of things, are really poorly from their ED. And I can't imagine the impact this is having to them, seeing, you know, your adverts are EDs, your content creators are showing about weight loss or them shrinking, and everything on the TV is about it, and you go out and you see a lot about it, and it's everywhere, and it feels consuming and overwhelming. And our internet and our celebrities and our influence is all shrinking. I would love to know your thoughts on this. I don't know how we proceed. I think there has to be a level of understanding of what makes our bodies healthy and how do we live healthy lifestyles. And you know, there are people who don't live healthy lifestyles on either side of the spectrum, and I think most importantly, I think the best look is happy and healthy, or as much as you can be on those scales. I think that's all we should really be promoting. I think the best things we can do is look out for the ones around us and share positivity, share body confidence things, push the people around us to either be better or very much just try and change the narrative within your circle. Why? By that, what do I mean? I think there's a lot of power in telling someone that they look amazing and that you love their dress sense, or you love this about them, or, you know, XYZ. I have seen a lot of comments, or at least I've seen quite a few reels recently about people who are practicing this of, why you giving someone a compliment? It's not really a lot for you. Maybe, you know, you've got to overcome kind of a confidence barrier there, or, you know, anxiety, because it is very difficult talking to strangers. But I do think when you give someone a compliment, it doesn't cost you anything, and to be honest, it probably doesn't mean a lot for you, but for that receiving person, that can literally make their day. So I think a great way to go forward is just really promoting positivity. Tell people they look really nice and they have a nice smile, you know, their dress sense is really cool. I also think on the flip side, we need to really be mindful in how we're approaching these conversations about weight loss. I think when we have loved ones who are losing weight, pointing out weight loss can be a fuel, and I think that is a very valid statement. I think it's very validating when you're in the depths of an ED, when you're told you've lost weight, you know what you're doing has worked, and it's an awful situation, and it really isn't nice. But I think that is quite truthful to the situation. It can cause those feelings, but I do think we can still have conversations about what is healthy, and as an example, kind of pointing out that, you know, Ariana does not look healthy to people who may be easily influenced and kind of going, yeah, this is not healthy, this is not how someone should necessarily look, you shouldn't be able to see your bones, or maybe XYZ, you know, this could be causing this problem. I don't think it's easy, and I don't think it's a straightforward situation we're in. I don't think it's as easy as, oh, we'll be out of the Ozempic era and then that's it, it'll go back to normal. I don't think there is a normal, and again, I think this is just part of a cycle that keeps happening. But I worry about the people that are coming out the other side of this era, and maybe the damage it will have caused widespread through. There are a lot of people I've seen having reported side effects from Ozempic and it causing really big damage to their bodies. The people who now have EDs and, you know, they can be lifelong. I think you'll always have the thoughts of an ED if you've had an ED, regardless of if you're fully recovered or not. And sadly, there'll be people who have had EDs who haven't got through the other side of it, because EDs are one of the highest mortality rates amongst mental illnesses. And it might not seem that big of a deal when we talk about the Ozempic era, but I think it genuinely could be really damaging. And I think there's a lot more to it than people make out there to be. So I am going to leave it there. I think I'm going to leave some links down below of some resources you can check out if you do feel affected by this situation. As I said earlier, please be sure to leave comments down below kind of what your views are. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you think something different? I'd love to know your thoughts and we can have a bit of a discussion about it down below. Of course, if you did enjoy, please be sure to like this video and subscribe down below. All the help is really appreciated and I would love for you to join on this journey. Again, slightly different video. I haven't scripted. I have just sat down and put the camera on, so let me know what you think of this format because I'm quite enjoying it, and if people are enjoying it too, maybe we make a lot more like this. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next one.